So, since Universal decided to lift the review embargo so late, and right when the Dune trailer came out, so I was busy covering that all day, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do a half non-spoiler review and then a half spoiler review. Because come on, it's an M Night Shyamalan film. Of course, everyone's going to want to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, be careful in the comments. I'm going to ask people at the end. I'm asking you now. Mark your comments as spoiler if they are. But halfway through this video, I'll tell you when to stop. Go see the movie if you want to, and then we'll talk spoilers. All right, but I have to say, for everyone, spoiler or non-spoiler, I think you want to know before you buy a ticket, does this new M. Night Shyamalan film have a stupid twist at the end? Of course it does! But I still think it's worth watching. I actually gave this a fresh tomato. So if the movie had ended right after that stupid twist was revealed, I think it would be a bad movie. And some people, as you can see from its RT score, feel that it is a bad movie. But there are a few scenes after that reveal, so I'll never forget I saw The Ring and someone left the theater in a rush to beat the crowd and they missed her coming out of the television at the very end. I was like, that person's probably like, why does everyone think The Ring is a good movie? So make sure you stay till the very end because there are a couple scenes after the reveal that tied up the movie and had such great callbacks. It was just so nicely done that I would actually say this is one of M. Night Shyamalan's best films. All right, so let's do those non-spoilers before we really dig in. There's some stuff I just really want to talk to you about because this film, it really is going to stick with me. I thought it was haunting. All right, so interestingly, it reminded me a lot of HBO's The White Lotus, which just recently started, with weird, dark things happening at a beautiful tropical resort. And in both cases, the gorgeous setting kind of creates not only this interesting contrast, but it really keeps you're like, even though you're like, I guess it's kind of what happens to the people in the show and in the movie. They're like, this is not great. Maybe I shouldn't be here, but it's so nice. So that was interesting. I don't think I've ever seen an M. Night Shyamalan film look this slick and gorgeous. I think that a new location really energized him as a filmmaker. You know, he's always shot in and around his hometown of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. And he's done, again, some great stuff there. But I really think the new location helped him out. He's in the movie. He gave himself like a decent cameo. And it was funny because he gave himself a role that kind of mimics his role as a director. It was funny. At this point, like when he started doing it, you were like, come on, M. Night. But at this point, you're like, oh, M. Night. All right, so I used to have my own comedy group. And one of the members wrote this comedy sketch for one of our shows about what a haunted hayride for adults would be like. What would scare adults? And she put things in it like getting audited and surprise you're having a baby, and it was very funny. And this movie reminded me of that sketch because the way M. Night Shyamalan is able to distill the fear of growing old, what it does to you, what fate has in store for you in terms of your health, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And M. Night Shyamalan plays with that here in really interesting ways. The science of what's happening on the beach and the clever twists that he's able to come up with really kept me hooked. I would be interested in checking out the Swiss graphic novel that it's based on. Yay, comics! We deliver another great story. And I think that because he had really strong source material here, I think that's probably why this is one of M. Night's better films, because while he's really good at that first act, that great idea, he's always had trouble with execution. And he still has a weak twist. You know, he has a weak twist. I haven't read the graphic novel, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he added. But like the more low-key, subtle stuff is what's the best, and I suspect that's what's from the European comic. The cast is also exceptional. Every single person was so likable, so interesting. Every cast member, really good, diverse cast, but everybody brought a really unique dynamic to the film. I loved everybody, so good. But while I think this movie is very well made and very compelling, as you can see, you might be like, I'm sold, Grace, let's go. I'm ready to stop this video and come back later. But I want to warn you, it's extremely depressing. It's one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen, and it made me cry. And there are things that, like, as I said, will haunt me. And I mean it, will haunt me. Like, I'm kind of glad I saw them because they were so well done, but they were such a bummer, man. You just need to make sure, you have to make the conscious decision to put yourself through that. It's not a fun movie. You're like, it's European. Sorry. All right, but you know it's true. All right, so This is the point where you can decide if you want to go and see this movie or not. Pause it, come back to the video when you've seen it, because we're going to talk spoilers. Because, I really want to talk about this movie. As I just said, I thought this film was devastatingly sad. The scene that really got me, that to me is the highlight of the film, that encapsulates why it's so great, is Gael Garcia Bernal and Vicky Krieps' final conversation on the beach. And the way, again, M. Night distilled down the evolution of a marriage and what it's like at the very end. That conversation, I was devastated. Where Bernal is like, were we even fighting? And he forgot because he had Alzheimer's. Like, first he lost his sight and she lost hearing in one ear. I mean, that was just, and like their bodies never aged to the degree like their insides did. I mean, that was, but it was like, they were like older but not, and it was just incredible. And both actors did a phenomenal job with this. And then Bernal was like, well, whatever it is, I'm not angry with you anymore. His wife had cheated on him and they were going to get divorced. And he says, well, whatever it is, I'm not angry with you anymore. And then it was so sad. And then he said, I told you I cried. And he said, why did we even want to leave this beach? It's so beautiful. And then he keeled over dead. And his 2 children yelled out, Dad! And I was like, oh my God, M. Night, what are you doing to me? I mean, that was just, but I mean, it was so well done. So that to me was this movie in a nutshell. Also, you really felt overall that time was stolen from this family. Like Eliza Scanlon, as the teenage version of Cara, has a line about that, about how she didn't get to go to prom and stuff, but that's superficial. You really felt it with the core family, that not only was time stolen from them individually, but time they should have been able to spend with each other. I was horrifying. I also thought Abby Lee did a great job as the trophy wife obsessed with her looks. So of course, aging on the beach is a real horror show for her. And I felt that turning her into like this ab-fab witch, because she had a calcium deficiency. The script was so clever. And again, I don't know if it comes from the comic. I don't know what's the comic and what's M. Night. He's like, excellent. But like the fact that she had a calcium deficiency, which then turned her into like this hunchback witch, because, she didn't have any calcium on the beach. I mean, that was just really well done. And kudos to Lee. And the way she died, with her bones breaking and then healing really quickly. We'll talk about the way things healed on the beach in a moment. But kudos to Lee for making her character seem very fleshed out and not just a stereotype. I felt really bad for her. Her little monologue about Giuseppe, the guy she almost married but didn't because he wasn't handsome and wealthy enough, but that she found herself thinking about him all the time, was really good. She did a great job with that. Rufus Sewell, as the guy she did marry, is always great. There's some social commentary about how he instantly assumes that the rapper already on the beach killed his girlfriend. That was horrible. It was very uncomfortable, as it was supposed to be. That stuff happens, and it's horrific. And I thought, I didn't understand how Rufus Sewell could kill the rapper, because everybody else's wounds healed right away, maybe because he just did it so quickly. But that was also interesting, the way people's wounds healed so quickly, so that, especially when Rufus Sewell attacked the married couple, our main couple on the beach at night, and they were able to take the slashes because they would heal right away. That was really cool. And then the way they had to perform surgery on the wife to get that tumor out, which grew, and then she felt better. And it was, that was like really interesting. I thought that was fascinating. I thought that was really, really good. And Aaron Pierre, who played the rapper, he has a really great look, very cinematic. And I love that his rapper name was Mid-Size Sedan. And again, the script was so great that it was revealed, and it was very sad that he told the older Cara that he's like, I just want someone to know who I was because it doesn't look like I'm going to make it out of here. So sad. This movie was so sad. And he said, I think his name was like Benjamin, and he's like, he was upper middle class, so that's why he chose the name Mid-Size Sedan. I thought that was great. Then to see Sewell sink into dementia, which is why he became so dangerous, was also interesting and horrifying. And then the way Vicky Krieps killed him with that rusty knife, and then he died from fast-forwarded blood poisoning, incredible. Really good. One of the best things M. Night's ever done. Ken Leung was also one of my favorites. He came across as such a wonderful, kind, smart man. I felt so bad when he died. I felt bad for everybody, but he was one of the people I felt the worst for. I was like, no! The casting of the actors as the 3 children aged up was done flawlessly. They really sold it with spot-on casting. And it wasn't just all Nat Wolff's mole. They weren't just sticking it on different actors being like, what, they got the mole? Like, I felt it was Nat Wolff at different stages of his life. And also how M. Night filmed it. Sometimes you could only see a shoulder or a piece of hair. Like, that was really compelling. But you could tell something was off. It was great. And the way they had to keep eating because they needed all these calories because they were growing, that was fascinating. And that their minds were maturing, yet not quite maturing. And the way Trent and Cara had a baby, I didn't want to see this movie because I thought that was so disturbing in the trailer. But I thought they made it work, and that it was still weird and horrifying, but it worked within the context of the film. And you were like, I cannot look away from this. And it was also at the same time also so sad in the way Trent wanted his family to work out better than his parents because they were going to get a divorce and he knew about it. That was really great stuff. I mean, there wasn't like an inch of this script that was wasted, so we got to the twist at the end. And also, before that, the casting of 50-year-old Trenton Maddox was so compelling. I was like, and Beth Davids! I'm not familiar with the actor who played older Trent, but he was great. And then they wanted to build sandcastles on the beach, which I guess is where the title of the graphic novel comes from. I love it. And then they were like, do you think that we just feel like children because we were children yesterday, or do you think that adults always feel like children? And I'm like, it's both. I was so great. And then, of course, they were like, maybe we should decode that message from your friend at the hotel. And, of course, it was the way out of there. And, you think that's annoying, but I think it was realistic because when he got it, he was just 6. So, of course, it didn't occur to him until he became an adult. I thought that was really well done as well. And then the way they swam through the coral, I was on the edge of my seat. I thought that was great. And then the callback to the police officer that their game from the beginning of the movie, where they would run up to people and say, what's your name and what do you do? And one man was a police officer, and then they gave him the evidence about the beach and stuff. I was like so impressed with how it tied up at the end. Now, yeah, there was that stupid twist, right? Where they were like, and they didn't need it. It could have just been a Twilight Zone episode, for Pete's sake. That's an evil hotel. There, you're done. But it was a pharmaceutical company, and the drink you got when you showed up was a drug they gave you, and then they stuck you on the beach, select people, and they tested to see how the drug worked. And they didn't have to wait decades to get the answers to their research. But I told this to a friend of mine after I watched the movie, she's like, I'm not going. How was it? Because she's like, M. Night's burned me too many times. And I told her what it was, and she said, well, that doesn't work. How would they ever get FDA approval? Because you have to show your work. So I thought that was really funny. But still, the movie is going to stick with me because emotionally I thought it just really got everything right. So let's talk about a tumor. Cut that out of the movie and you got something real good. So what do you think of Old? Again, please, if you have a spoiler comment, mark it as such down below. Thanks for going over it with me. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.